Hello and welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we will try to go ahead and create a navigation bar on our website. So in that particular navigation bar we will have the menu of our website, and also we are going to display the number of items which we have in our cart. So now in order to add navigation bar, you simply can go ahead and add or create your navigation bar over here. And in order to save time, instead of actually writing the code for navigation bar, we will go ahead and directly use the navigation bar from the Bootstrap's official site. So in order to get the navigation bar, simply go ahead and search for Bootstrap navigation bar on the web browser. And if you scroll down a little bit, this is the link which you want to actually click. So this is the official link from Bootstrap. And they here actually have a bunch of navigation bars which we can actually use in our website. So as you can see, if I keep on scrolling down, I get different kinds of navigation bar. And let's say we want to use this particular navigation bar right here. So in order to do that, I'll simply copy this code. And then let's hop back to our code editor. And in here, let's paste this code in here. But even before pasting this code, it's actually better if you have a row and column in here inside the container. So you need to go right inside the container, right before where this row actually starts. And in here, I simply need to create another div, and I'll say div class is equal to row. And then I'll simply go ahead and create a column as well. So div class is equal to call-md-12. And in here I'm going to paste in my navigation bar. So now let's see how the navigation bar looks like. So let me just go ahead and activate the server first. Once the server is up and running, I can simply go to the home page. And in here, if I see over here, as you can see, we have this nav bar right over here. So if I minimize this a little bit, as you can see, we have this navigation bar right over here. And right where this pricing is actually placed, let's say you want to go ahead and change it to display the cart items inside our cart. So how exactly can we go ahead and do that? So in order to do that, you simply need to hop back to your code. And in here, if you go to the JavaScript right here, as you can see, we actually have the cart items stored in here. So from this, we can actually obtain the number of items which this particular cart has. So in order to do that, you simply need to go ahead, go right here. And first of all, you need to get access to the length of the card. So in order to get access to the length of the card, you simply type in object.keys. And in here, we actually want to get the objects from the cart. So we'll type in cart here, and then instead of getting those objects, we actually want the length of that particular cart. So I can type in length over here. So this is actually going to give me the length of the number of items which we currently have in the cart. And now in order to test if this thing actually works, let's log this into a console. So I'll type in console.log. And I'll include this code in there so that we can display this on the console. So now if we save this code and we go back to our website, and now if I just open up the console, let's see what do we get here. So right now, as you can see, we get nothing. So when I add this item, the value of cart is actually displayed as 1. So now if I keep adding this item, I'll still get 1 over here. That's because this is actually a single item, and the cart actually only holds the total number of unique items. So now if I actually want to make it 2, I have to add another product which is not this product. So if I click on this, as you can see, the value gets assigned as 2. Now if I click on this bike, the value now becomes 3, which means that we have 3 unique items in that particular cart. And now if I keep on clicking this, as you can see, the number does not change unless and until I click on a unique item. So now if I click on this, as you can see, the number of items on the cart become 4. So that's all fine and good. We know how to actually go ahead and display the number of items in the console, but now we actually want to display that up over here in place of this pricing. So how exactly are we able to do that? So in order to do that, we simply go back to our code And now first of all, using the document object model, we will get access to this particular navigation bar's item over here. So if you actually want to look up this item in your code, so if you go up over here, this is the pricing item right over here, and for this you can actually go ahead and assign it some kind of an ID. So you can say something like ID equals to, let's say, cart. And now once we have assigned an ID to this particular element, you can now access this element using the document object model. So here we'll be using a little bit of JavaScript. So I'll say something like document.getElement by ID, and we'll get the element which is nothing but which has the ID as cart. So now once we have access to that particular cart, we want to set its inner HTML to this specific value. So I can say dot inner HTML equals, and I'll simply go ahead, cut this from here, and I'll simply assign this value up over here. And let's get rid of the console.log from here. And now if we do so, let's see what do we get. So now if I hit refresh and if I add this item, as you can see, this thing became 4, which is the number of items inside the cart. But instead of just 4, let's say you want to display something like cart and then display 4 in parentheses. So we can also do that as well. So in there, we will simply go ahead and type in this equals, and in quotations, we want to display cart as a string. And then I'll include a opening parentheses here, and we will append this with the actual number which we get from here. And I'll again append this with a closing parentheses right over here. So now once we go ahead and save that, we should be actually able to get the appropriate result. So if I go ahead, hit refresh and click on this add to cart button, as you can see, we get the cart and the number of items inside our cart. And one more thing which you can do over here is that instead of this pricing, you can set the by default value of this to, let's say, cart of 0. So that actually makes sense. When you go ahead and hit refresh, you have 0 items, and then we keep on adding items, the value over here changes. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand how to actually go ahead and create a navigation bar and assign the number of items inside the cart over here. So in the next lecture, we will go ahead and we will make this cart more functional by adding a popover to this cart, which means that whenever you go ahead and click on this particular cart, you should actually get a popover over here which displays the number of actual items which are present in your cart. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.